It was just another late night for Keanu Reeves. There were no cameras and no crowds, just the quiet sounds of the Athens subway. But when a small, scared girl looked at him, her mouth moving like she was asking for help without speaking, everything changed. Inside her, something wasn't counting time like a clock. It was counting down to something darker. Keanu was pulled into a world full of secrets and danger. He knew this wasn't just about staying safe. It was a race against time. Let's go into this exciting story. Tell me, where are you reading this from? The smell of gas and warm stone filled the underground train station. Keanu Reeves fixed the strap of his canvas bag and pulled his gray hoodie tighter around his head as he stepped off the escalator into the quiet Athens subway. It was after midnight. This was the last train home. Keanu liked it this way, quiet, real, and peaceful. After 14 hours of filming on a windy mountaintop, where he played a warrior god who had been betrayed, this felt more normal. No directors, no fake blood. Just tile walls, blinking lights, and the sound of trains on metal tracks. But tonight something felt strange. Keanu saw them before he could explain why. A man, maybe around 35 years old, tall and skinny with tired eyes, was pulling a small girl by the wrist. The girl looked around 6 years old. Her hoodie was too big for her tiny body. The sleeves were longer than her hands. Her blonde hair was messy and flat. She moved quietly, like she wasn't allowed to make a sound. Keanu stopped near a vending machine and pretended to look for coins. But really he was watching them. They walked to the end of the platform. The man kept looking toward the tunnels. He looked nervous and sweaty even though it was cold. He never looked at the girl. The girl never said a word. Keanu's breath slowed. He knew this feeling. It wasn't from acting. It was the same feeling he had once in a bar in Toronto when he saw a man put something in a woman's drink. It was the same feeling he had during a break-in at his sister's house in Malibu. Something wasn't right. The man sat down and pulled the girl on the bench next to him. He put his arm behind her, not to keep her safe, but more like a wall. Keanu turned and sat down 2 rows behind them. The girl looked down at the floor. Her legs moved a little, not playfully but like she was nervous. Her tiny hands were tight fists in her lap. The next train wouldn't come for 5 minutes. Keanu thought about calling someone or finding a worker. Then it happened. The girl looked up at him for just 1 second. Her lips moved. Her voice was so quiet he could barely hear it over the buzzing lights, but he saw it. Help me. Keanu felt a chill go through his body. There were no cameras in this part of the station. No guards. No other people. Just a big old picture of the goddess Athena on the wall, and a pair of eyes that broke the line between movies and real life. Keanu stood up slowly and walked toward them. His boots made soft sounds on the tiles. He didn't hurry. Moving too fast might scare the man, and this man didn't look like someone you wanted to scare. The girl looked back down. Her eyes stayed on the floor. Her hands were deep inside her hoodie sleeves, squeezed into tight fists. Her shoulders shook just a little like a piece of paper close to a flame. It was fear, not the kind that goes away but the kind a child learns to live with. The man didn't see Keanu coming. He was too busy watching the tunnels. His fingers tapped his leg, his knee bounced, and his lips twitched, like he was waiting for someone. Keanu sat on the bench behind them with 2 empty seats between him and the girl. He kept his body relaxed. He crossed one leg over the other and put his hands on his knees. He didn't look at them directly, but he listened. "You move again and I swear to God," the man whispered. His fingers pinched the girl's arm. She didn't make a sound, but her foot stopped swinging. Keanu closed his eyes like he was just resting. But his brain was working fast. He thought about how far they were from the tunnel edge where the nearest security post was, back near the escalators. It was empty. No cameras. No speakers to call for help. Just him, the girl, the man, and the train. A voice spoke in Greek. 1 minute until arrival. The girl moved a little and that's when Keanu saw it. Her hoodie lifted for a second when she shifted on the bench. Under the edge of the fabric, where her stomach pushed against it, there was something. It wasn't a toy or a bump from bad posture. It was too round and too stiff. For a brief moment, as the light above them flickered, Keanu saw something under her hoodie. A shape. A pattern. It wasn't normal. It looked like her body was hiding something scary. Keanu took a slow, quiet breath. This wasn't just a lost child. Not a runaway. Not just someone being taken away. This was something darker. Something planned. He stood up. That got the man's attention. The man turned quickly and looked right at Keanu. For a second, something changed in the man's eyes. He knew who Keanu was. Then he froze. Keanu spoke calmly. "Is that your daughter?" The man didn't answer. Keanu stepped forward, slowly but surely. She looked scared, he said. She's fine, the man said quickly, standing up. His voice cracked. Then why did she just ask me for help? Keanu asked quietly. That was the moment the man realized he wasn't in charge anymore. Right then the floor began to shake a little. The train was coming. Keanu looked at the tracks, then back at the man. The man grabbed the girl's wrist tighter and tried to pull her up. I said back off, he yelled louder now, fear in his voice. The girl cried out. Just once. Help me, she said. That was enough. Keanu moved fast. He had spent years learning how to fight in movies, and in real life. His hands knew what to do. He grabbed the man's wrist, twisted it, and stepped between him and the girl. The girl fell back a little. Her eyes were wide. She looked at Keanu like he was a hero from another world. The train screeched into the station behind them. High above, near the tunnel entrance, lights blinked in the dark. Keanu saw something move. A little red light on a camera was blinking. Someone had been watching the whole time. The subway train made a loud screeching sound and stopped. The doors opened with a loud hiss, like a big robot breathing out. Keanu didn't move. Not yet. He still held the man's wrist. The wrist was skinny and shaky now. Keanu could feel the sweat and fear in the man. The man moved his other hand toward his pocket. Keanu growled, "Don't." The man froze. His eyes looked around quickly, past Keanu at the open train doors. He was thinking fast. Keanu let go. Not because he was done, but because he wanted the girl to see something. He wanted her to know she wasn't alone anymore. Get on, Keanu said softly to her. He nodded at the train. Second car, front row. I'll be right behind you. She waited, then slowly did what he said. Her steps were shaky, like her legs weren't working right. She got on the train and disappeared behind the doors. The man jumped forward, but Keanu was ready. He turned fast, grabbed the man's coat, and slammed him into a metal pole. He whispered in his ear, "I've played scarier guys than you in movies. You're not scaring anyone." The man sneered. "You don't know what you're doing." "I don't have to," Keanu said. "I just have to stop you." A voice from above said, "Doors closing." Keanu shoved the man away and ran into the train. Slipping through just before the doors shut, the train started moving again, going into the dark tunnel. The lights above blinked as the train moved, throwing yellow lines on the dirty walls. The train car was almost empty. There were two sleepy tourists in the back, a woman reading a book in Greek and the girl. She sat in the front, knees pulled up to her chest, hoodie up to her chin. She was staring at Keanu as he walked over. Her eyes were wide, not blinking. Keanu sat across from her, not next to her. He didn't want to scare her. He waited. The silence lasted a while. Then she spoke, her voice dry and cracking. "If I talk, it'll break." Keanu blinked. "What will break?" She looked down, then slowly pulled her hoodie up just a little. Keanu's stomach twisted. On her pale belly were big, rough stitches. "Red. Fresh. Who did that to you?" Keanu asked gently, but his voice was tight. She didn't answer. Her hands were shaking. She looked up at him and whispered again, "Help me." The train went deeper into the tunnel. There were no lights now, just the soft hum of the train and metal sounds. Keanu leaned in and promised, "I will." Then his phone buzzed in his pocket. No phone number. Just one word on the screen, "Stop." He stared at the message. Then I looked back at the girl. She was staring out the window now. But in the glass, her reflection wasn't alone. Someone, or something, was out there in the tunnel just past the window. Hey, if you're still reading this story with us, drop us 6 in the comments so we know you're following along. We're glad you're here. The lights above blinked hard, like a broken heartbeat. For a second, Keanu saw her face, wide eyes, pale skin, lips shaking. And behind her, in the glass, something was moving. It wasn't a person. It was too tall, too still, with no face. Just a dark blue, like a shadow watching from the outside. Then the light came back to normal. The reflection was gone. Keanu stood up slowly. The girl flinched and hugged her knees tighter. "It's okay," he said, raising his hands. "I just need to see where we are." The train rattled in the dark. It felt like it was going too deep. Keanu looked up at the map. There was no light on the screen. No sign of the next stop. He checked his phone again. Still just the word, "Stop." No signal. No bars. No Wi-Fi. His chest felt tight. He looked out the window. The tunnel walls looked wrong. There weren't normal signs or beams or tiles. There were thick wires like snakes running through cracked concrete. No trash. No graffiti. Nothing normal. It wasn't a tunnel anymore. It was something else. He turned back to the girl. "What's your name?" She waited, then whispered, "Maya?" "Okay, Maya," Keanu said, kneeling to her level. "I need to know what's inside you." Her eyes filled with tears. "It's a clock," she said. Keanu blinked. "A clock." She nodded. "But not for telling time." She held her stomach. "It's waiting." Keanu asked, "What happens when it stops ticking?" "They come," she said. "Who's they?" But Maya didn't answer. She looked at the window again. The lights flickered. This time the shadow was closer. Right up against the glass. Keanu jumped across the train car and pulled the emergency brake. The train screeched and stopped. Sparks flew in the tunnel. Maya fell sideways, but Keanu caught her before she hit the floor. "I've got you," he whispered. "You're okay." But he felt his hair stand up. Because the train had stopped. And something outside hadn't. The sky above Athens had turned a weird gray by the time Keanu pushed open a rusty gate. Maya was in his arms, barely awake. She breathed softly. She felt light. He didn't know how long they had been walking since they escaped the train. Time felt strange. The streets were empty. The air felt too still. A small hospital stood alone on a hill, looking old. It used to be a church a long time ago. Now it was a special hospital for travelers from other countries. Keanu had been there once, after a motorcycle accident during a movie shoot. He remembered one thing: the doctor didn't ask questions. The big wooden door creaked open before Keanu could knock. "Mr. Reeves?" said an old man's voice. It was Dr. Elias Richard. He wore a white coat. His eyes looked sharp behind thick glasses. "Come in quickly," he said. Keanu didn't stop walking. He carried Maya down the hallway into a room that smelled like medicine and incense. "She needs help," Keanu said, putting her gently on the table. "Someone cut her and stitched her up. There's something inside her." Dr. Richard didn't look surprised. He worked carefully, shining a light into Maya's eyes. "What did they put in her?" Keanu asked. "I don't know," Keanu said. "But it's not normal." The doctor lifted her hoodie, then stopped. Keanu saw his hands freeze. Richard took a slow breath. "These stitches, they weren't done in a hospital. They were rushed. No pain medicine." He looked closer. "And this bump, it's not a tumor." He tapped her belly. It made a soft metal clink. Keanu's stomach twisted. "What is that?" "I don't know," the doctor said quietly. "But it's not alone." He pointed to the skin around the cut. Red lines glowed under the skin like tiny lights or wires. "It's active," the doctor said. "Whatever is inside her, it's awake." Then a strange sound came from deep inside the walls. Not a fire alarm. Not a beep from a machine. Just 3 slow, creepy beeps. Beep, beep, beep. Richard looked at Keanu. "You didn't bring anyone here, did you?" Keanu looked at Maya. Her eyes were open now, full of fear. The doctor's calm eyes were now sharp, full of fear too. The beeping kept going, soft but steady. It didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like an announcement. Maya whimpered. Her hands grabbed the paper on the table. Her breathing was shaky. Keanu leaned close and spoke softly, "Can you take it out?" Richard didn't answer right away. He gently touched the skin around the stitches. Then pulled out a small scanner and placed it on her belly. The screen blinked, then showed a picture. Keanu leaned in. It was blurry but clear enough. There was something round inside her. Smooth and shiny. It had a glowing center. Tiny lines were growing from it, wrapping around her insides like roots. Richard stared at the screen. "This isn't just something they put in her," he said. "It's growing inside her." Keanu's voice was tight. "Growing into what?" The doctor looked at him. "Her nerves. Maybe her glands. This isn't just a tracker. Something more. Something alive." Maya shook. Keanu crouched beside her, gently taking her small hand into his. She looked up at him with pale lips that trembled as she whispered, "They said it would only wake up if I didn't listen." "You didn't do anything wrong," Keanu said softly, trying to calm her. "You asked for help." "But I talked," she said, her voice shaking. "I told you." The machine next to her beeped again. This time the beeping was faster. Dr. Richard cursed under his breath and quickly tried to fix the machine. Keanu turned to him and asked, "Can you stop it?" "I don't even know what it is, Keanu," Richard said, getting frustrated. "This isn't normal medicine. It's something that was made on purpose and it's very new." "Then take it out," Keanu said, feeling desperate. "I can't," Richard answered. It's stuck between her liver and stomach. "I can't even do surgery without special tools, and I would need a whole team. If I try to cut it out now, I could hurt her really badly." Everything fell silent. The air in the room felt heavier. The beeping noise wasn't just coming from the machine anymore, it was everywhere. It seemed to be coming from the walls, almost like it was in the room itself. Keanu stood up, his fists clenched tightly. Then what do we do? Richard looked at Maya, and for the first time, his expression softened. We buy time, he said. Richard grabbed some gauze and gently began to cover the stitched wound. He whispered something in Greek, words Keanu didn't understand. The doctor's voice sounded calm, like he was saying something about light, about stillness. Suddenly, everything around them went quiet. 2 beams of white light appeared, shining through the trees outside. The light made strange shadows on the stone path that led up to the clinic. The light was very bright but very still, casting a peaceful silence around them. Keanu's eyes narrowed as he looked out the window. In the distance he saw a black vehicle. No sirens, no signs. Just a quiet SUV. Don't close the curtain, Keanu whispered to Richard. Dr. Richard froze by the window looking out. Slowly he stepped back. I didn't hear them coming, he murmured. That road usually makes a lot of noise when tires roll over it, but now, nothing. Keanu moved toward the front door, staying hidden in the shadows. His phone still didn't have any signal. No calls. No internet. There was no way to call for help. The only thing Keanu had was his instincts, his timing, and whatever tools he could use in the real world. Then there was a soft knock at the door. Not from the front, but from the side. 3 knocks, slow and calm. Then a voice came, smooth and steady, barely loud enough to hear. It was a man's voice and it said, "We only want the child." Keanu's spine straightened. He didn't know the voice, but it didn't matter. The tone wasn't a question, it was a command. Whoever this man was, he wasn't asking for permission. He was saying that he would take Maya, whether Keanu agreed or not. Keanu turned toward Richard. We need to move her now. Richard pointed toward a small hallway. There's an old tunnel in the back storage cellar. It used to go down to the monastery's crypt. Keanu didn't hesitate. He scooped Maya into his arms. She stirred a little but didn't open her eyes. She's stabilizing, Richard said quickly, but I don't know how much longer she'll be okay. Then we keep her stable until I find out who these people are and what they want, Keanu said firmly. From the other side of the building, a different voice came. The same calm tone, but from a different spot. You're not trained for this, Mr. Reeves? Keanu paused. They knew his name. He looked back at Richard. They're not bluffing. No, Richard said grimly. But they're still outside for now. Keanu nodded, moving quickly through the hallway. The walls were cold stone and the air smelled damp like dirt and rust. This place hadn't been used in years. They reached a locked door at the end of the hallway. Richard took out an old iron key and unlocked it. The door creaked loudly as they stepped through. They entered a narrow staircase that spiraled downward. The only light came from a single bulb hanging by a cord, swinging slightly. The humming sound from Maya's body was still there, like a second heartbeat. As they descended into the darkness, Keanu whispered to himself more than anyone else, if they want her, they'll have to come down here and get her. Up above, the front door clicked open softly. No one had turned the handle. It had unlocked on its own. The stone steps down into the tunnel felt colder now, as if the air hadn't been breathed in centuries. Keanu's boots made a dull thud as they hit the uneven floor. The ceiling was low, just barely above his head. The walls were made of ancient bricks, held together by time and old memories. The tunnel stretched ahead, winding like a vein beneath the hillside. Richard closed the heavy door behind them, turning the key with effort. It scraped loudly, then there was nothing but silence. Keanu adjusted Maya in his arms. Her head rested lightly on his shoulder, warm, but her body trembled. He could feel it, waves of fear, fever, or something much worse. The faint hum from her abdomen still buzzed through her skin. How far does this go? Keanu asked, his voice quiet. There's a chamber ahead, Richard replied. It was a wine vault once. Then a prayer room. Then forgotten. Good, Keanu muttered. Let's keep it forgotten. They moved through the tunnel, Keanu's flashlight cutting narrow slices through the darkness. The stone walls felt alive as if they were breathing. The air was thick with moisture, and the sound of distant water dripping echoed in slow, strange rhythms. Then something changed. Maya stirred in Keanu's arms. Her head twitched. Her fingers moved, searching for something, almost like she was trying to say something. Keanu knelt down, gently lowering her to the ground. Maya, he whispered, his voice soft. Her eyes fluttered open, but she didn't speak. Her lips moved, though, like she was saying something in a language no one could hear. She was whispering a pattern, a phrase, silently. And then the hum from inside her body grew louder, like it was reacting to whatever she was saying. Keanu looked at Richard. "It's reacting," he said, worried. Richard quickly took out a small thermal scanner and hovered it just above Maya's abdomen. The display blinked, showing that her blood temperature was rising quickly, and only around the area where the strange implant was. "She's heating up," Richard said, his voice tight. "Her body's rejecting it, or it's changing." Behind them, down the tunnel, a dull sound echoed. Another click. Then another. Not the sound of metal. Not the sound of footsteps. It was something else, something slower and more deliberate. Richard went pale. "That's not possible. There's only one entrance. I locked it." Keanu stood up, his jaw tight. He handed Maya to Richard. "Take her. Get her to the chamber. Seal the door behind you." "What about you?" Richard asked, his voice worried. "I'll slow them down," Keanu said, determination in his eyes. He reached into his bag and pulled out a folding knife. Then, almost sheepishly, he pulled out a heavy flashlight that looked like a police baton. Richard stared at it. "Is that from John Wick?" Keanu gave a small smile. "Yeah. Turns out some props are real." Another step echoed down the tunnel, closer now. But the steps weren't hurried. They were slow, too calm, and that worried Keanu. Whoever or whatever was coming wasn't in a rush. The steps sounded strange, not like a person walking, but like something else, something designed to move like this. Keanu could feel it. He couldn't see it yet, but he knew something wasn't right. The air turned colder. The taste in his mouth was metallic, like iron. He felt like something was closing in on them. Back behind him, Richard was crouched beside Maya, trying to keep her steady. Her body trembled, still glowing faintly. The hum under her skin was growing louder, vibrating through the walls. Then it came. A shape stepped into the light of Keanu's flashlight. It was tall, thin, and dressed in black from head to toe. Its face had no eyes, no mouth, no real face at all. It wasn't breathing. It was just the shape of a man, walking slowly, like a shadow from the past that had somehow come back. And Keanu knew that this was no ordinary person. This was something made to be like this. Something designed to hunt them. Keanu didn't move. He held onto the flashlight tightly. The heavy flashlight could also be used as a weapon. He turned the flashlight to the highest setting. The creature stopped moving. It didn't react to the light, but something about it changed. It seemed slower, like it was broken. Keanu stepped closer and moved the light across the creature's face. Still, it didn't react. But then Keanu noticed a small twitch near the creature's wrist, like a machine that was about to break. Keanu quietly said, "You don't like the light, huh?" "Noted." Then the creature's head turned quickly, almost at a weird angle, and it rushed toward Keanu. Keanu quickly moved to the side, just missing the creature's attack. The air around the swing of the creature's arms felt fast, like a strong wind. Keanu didn't stop moving. He swung the flashlight hard at the creature's shoulder. The flashlight hit with a loud sound, and the beam of light flared brightly. The creature stepped back a little. It didn't hurt, but it slowed down. Keanu didn't back away. He kept moving toward the creature, using the light like a sword. He shined the light on its chest, arms, and head. The light didn't hurt the creature, but it made it lose its rhythm. That gave Keanu a few extra seconds to act. Behind him, in a stone room, Richard watched a scanner. The screen was showing that Maya's body was getting hotter. The circuits under her skin were glowing. Something inside her was reacting. "It's spreading," Richard whispered. "We're running out of time." Maya stirred. Her eyes were half closed and her voice was weak. "It's calling home," she said. Richard froze. He realized that Maya wasn't just sending a signal. She was like a beacon calling for something. And something was on its way. Keanu heard a strange noise behind the creature. It was a high-pitched sound like glass vibrating. The sound was getting faster. Keanu knew he had to finish this fight quickly. He looked around and saw a rusty fire pipe on the wall. He smashed the pipe open with a flashlight. Steam hissed out, and the light from the flashlight made a bright column of light. The creature stopped, confused for a moment. Keanu pulled out a road flare from his jacket. He lit it, and the red flame grew bigger. Keanu threw the flare down the corridor. When the fire met the gas, there was a big explosion. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to make the light blinding. The creature fell to the ground, shaking like a machine that was breaking down. Keanu ran back to Richard. "Now," he shouted. Richard looked at the scalpel in his hand and then at Maya's pale face. There was a strange, glowing light under her ribs. "Maya," he whispered, "we have to stop the clock." Maya nodded and closed her eyes. Maya held onto the edge of the bed with both hands, like she was ready for what was coming. Dr. Richard stood over her, the scalpel in his hand. He was scared about what he was about to do. This wasn't normal surgery. He wasn't fixing a wound. He was removing something that didn't belong. "Don't look," he whispered to Maya, but he was also talking to himself. Then he made the first cut. The skin opened easily, not because it was weak, but because the thing inside her was making space for itself. It was like the thing had changed her body. Keanu knelt by Maya's side, holding her hand. He spoke to her softly. "You're doing great, Maya." Almost there. The light inside her grew brighter. Blue veins of light spread across her stomach like roots under ice. Then Richard gasped. He saw it. A dark, shiny ball, smooth and round, was inside her, not attached by wires or stitches, but it had grown inside her body. Richard carefully reached in with some tools, grabbed the ball and pulled. It didn't come easily, but then there was a click and the ball came free. As soon as it left her body, everything changed. The humming sound stopped. The blue light faded. Maya took a deep breath, and Keanu let out a breath he didn't even realize he had been holding. But then the ball in Richard's hand started to shake. It floated in the air, spinning fast. It was glowing and lines started appearing on its surface. The lines opened like an eye. "No, no, no," Richard said, backing away. Keanu stepped in front of Maya, his hand reaching for a weapon, but there was nothing to fight with. There was only light. The ball let out a pulse. It wasn't a sound or heat, but a powerful force. The walls shook, dust flew, and the stone cracked. Then just as suddenly it stopped. The ball fell to the ground and lay still. Richard kicked the ball far away. Keanu turned to Maya. She was blinking slowly, breathing steadily. "You're okay?" he asked. Maya nodded. "It's quiet now." Then her fingers grabbed Keanu's wrist and she whispered, "But they're still coming." High above them in the forest near the old clinic, the trees bent, though there was no wind. The fire from the tunnel had gone out and the smoke was gone, but a black SUV was still there. Inside, a man in a gray suit sat perfectly still, a small smile on his face. A voice crackled through his earpiece. "Asset compromised. Phase 1 is complete." The man nodded. "Proceed to Phase 2. Far away, in a dark bunker with green lights and quiet voices, a woman in a dark jacket typed a message on a computer. It said, "Project Maya status breached. Object retrieved. Subject survived." Her hand hovered over a button labeled ARM Proca 2. She didn't press it yet. Was this the end? Or was it just the beginning? If you like this story, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling adventures, mysteries, and unforgettable moments. Your support keeps these stories alive and the creativity flowing. Thanks for watching. I can't wait to see you in the next video.